Good evening, I'm Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. The Kedah Menteri Besar has been on the news a lot lately, and today he made even more headlines with his comments on Penang refusing to settle its bill for raw water. If Penang doesn't pay the raw water bill it owes Kedah, Menteri Besar Muhammad Sanusi joked that he will redirect water away from Penang. If you're curious how he's going to do this, he told a press conference at Universiti Utara Malaysia on Thursday.
Esok kita alirkan Sungai Muda tu ke tempat lain. Kalau orang kampung saya kata belat sungai, alih sungai tu pergi tempat lain. Hampa nak sedut ayak di mana? Boleh pergi sampai teratur lah kalau mau. Saya kerah orang kampung, boh pasiak lang guni, belat sungai di Pinang Tunggal. Lepas pada Pinang Tunggal, intake kita yang terakhir, lepas tu semua kering. Hampa boleh pergi mengagar ikan ruan dalam sungai tu. Ayak tak ada lah. Sungai tu beralih pergi ke lain. Nak pergi sampai teratur? Tak aku kan, no? Takkan kena pergi sampai teratur. Kita dalam dunia moden ni boleh ada perundingan. Dan kita buat perundingan yang proper. Tiap-tiap tahun kerajaan negeri hantar surat untuk kerajaan Pulau Pinang bayar. Tapi mereka tak layan.
Sanusi is demanding Penang pay Kedah 50 million ringgit per year for raw water supplied from Sungai Muda, claiming the funds will be used to keep the river clean.
Bayar lo. Tak mahu bayar 50 juta, bayar 49 juta.
Sungai Muda flows from central Kedah to the south, forming a natural border with the mainland portion of Penang. Penang has refused to pay for the water charges, with Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow saying that it is in line with international law for his state to use water that is within its borders. The issue over the raw bill arose after Perbadanan Bekalan Air Pulau Pinang Sendirian Berhad called on Kedah not to mine rare earth in Ulu Muda to preserve Sungai Muda. Sanusi recently announced that Kedah has 42 billion ringgit in rare earth minerals which it plans to extract. He said PBAPP has no right to question what the Kedah government does in Ulu Muda, as the former had not been paying the raw water charges anyway. Several days after deciding not to show up for an audience with Perak ruler Sultan Nazrin Shah, Penang PAS has finally sought forgiveness. Penang PAS has publicly apologized for calling off their audience with Perak ruler Sultan Nazrin Shah in Ipoh on Tuesday when instructed to appear before the ruler. At a press conference in Ipoh today, Perak PAS chief Razman Zakaria said he and his two colleagues, Muhammad Akmal Kamarudin and Muhammad Khalil Yahya, sought forgiveness for their mistake.
Saya, Razman bin Zakaria, itu Muhammad Akmal bin Kamarudin dan juga Khalil Yahya dengan rendah hati, dengan rendah diri menzahirkan permohonan ampun kepada Duli Yang Maha Mulia Paduka Seri Sultan Perak Darul Ridwan Sultan Nazrin Mu'izzuddin Shah Ibni Almarhum Sultan Azlan Muhibbuddin Shah Al-Maghfurullah di atas kekhilafan tidak menghadap sebagaimana yang dititahkan ke bawah Duli kepada kami bertiga pada hari Selasa Disember 2020 jam 3 petang yang lalu. Sehubungan dengan itu, PAS Negeri Perak akan mengutuskan surat bagi menyatakan menzahirkan permohonan keampunan untuk kami.
During the press conference, Razman declined to comment on whether PAS representatives will be appointed into the state cabinet. At around noon on Tuesday, Sultan Nazrin Shah had summoned Bersatu and PAS state lawmakers to the palace that afternoon. On that day, Razman said the party was still undecided on what to tell the state ruler, hence decided to seek the postponement. The only one who showed up was Titi Serong Assembly person Asnul Zulkarnain Abdul Munaim, who is a Bersatu member. Before Perak PAS leaders held the press conference this evening, the central leadership said they were seeking an audience with the ruler. However, they haven't been granted one. PAS President Abdul Hari Awang is seeking an audience with Perak ruler Sultan Nazrin Shah. Hadi sent a letter to the palace yesterday seeking an audience. The letter cited by Malaysia Kini stated his intention to inform the ruler of the political situation involving PAS. However, a source close to the palace told Malaysia Kini that no date has been set yet. This comes after Perak PAS assembly persons failed to show up for their scheduled audience with Sultan on Tuesday amidst political uncertainty over the new Menteri Besar candidate. Quoting a source close to the party, news website The Vibe said Hadi intends to seek forgiveness from the Sultan over the snub. PAS previously explained that it decided to postpone its December 8th audience because its central leadership was undecided on its support for UMNO's Kota Tampan assembly person Sarani Muhammad as the new Perak Menteri Besar. It denied allegations that the no-show had been an act of disrespect against the state ruler. Previously, PAS ordered its Perak chapter not to take part in the forming of the new state government after Bersatu's Ahmad Faizal Azumu was ousted as Menteri Besar last week. The party's position, however, changed after UMNO President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi apologised to Bersatu and PAS over Faizal's removal. This paved way for Sarani to be sworn in as Menteri Besar yesterday. Now let's take a look at the country's latest COVID-19 situation. This segment is brought to you by Blue Air. Malaysia reported 1,810 new COVID-19 cases today, with the Klang Valley region reporting the most cases. From the number of new cases today, only 11 were imported cases. Selangor alone reported 829 new cases, followed by Sabah with 532. Cumulatively, the number of COVID-19 cases has reached 80,309. For context, the total number of COVID-19 cases in China currently stands at 86,688. Meanwhile, the number of active cases continues to rise. It now stands at 11,867. The Health Ministry also reported 6 fatalities linked to COVID-19. 5 were reported in Sabah and 1 in Penang. Hamzah Zainuddin has an idea on how Bersatu, UMNO and PAS can solidify their cooperation for GE15. After UMNO, PAS and Bersatu managed to work things out in Perak, Bersatu Secretary General Hamzah Zainuddin has mooted a political understanding charter to form a grand coalition between Perikatan Nasional, BN and Sarawak's Gabungan Parti Sarawak in the 15th general election. Hamzah said PN, BN and GPS signing a pact would ensure continued cooperation between the three, as well as shore up public confidence. In a statement, he said with the signing of this charter, people will be more confident that the coalition has strong political stability to continue governing the country. A grand coalition could be favourable to Bersatu and UMNO. Despite being at odds with each other, both parties could struggle to win enough seats on their own to form the federal government in the next general election. This is especially important for UMNO to continue getting support from PAS, which has become more aligned with Bersatu as joint members of PN. This formulation was evident after UMNO ousted Bersatu Deputy President Ahmad Faizal Azumu as Perak Menteri Besar last week. After the move, PAS announced it would not take part in forming the next Perak government, while Bersatu was irked by UMNO. This made it difficult for UMNO, as it was 5 seats short of forming the state government. The matter was only resolved after UMNO President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi apologised for ousting Faizal in a meeting with Bersatu President Muhyiddin Yassin and PAS President Abdul Hadi Awang. On this exact day, 27 years ago, the Highland Towers tragedy occurred, claiming the lives of dozens of people. Now the government plans to build a memorial, spearheaded by Zuraida Kamarudin. After 27 years since the tragic incident that killed 48 residents at Highland Towers, the Housing and Local Government Ministry plans to build a memorial at the site. Its minister, Zuraida Kamarudin, said the memorial in remembrance of the tragedy will be equipped with a park and track. According to Burnama, she clarified that it will not be a recreational park. Instead, the ministry plans to develop it as a memorial surrounded by a small park and walking track. She added that she didn't want people to get the wrong idea that it will become an open area with facilities such as playgrounds. Zuraida said the development plan was still being scrutinized and the ministry was awaiting approval for an allocation of 8.9 million ringgit for land acquisition from the Selangor state government, which is expected to be completed at the end of this year. She said the process to obtain agreement from the condominium unit owners had also been completed, with demolition and cleaning work set to begin once the allocation is approved by the Finance Ministry. On December 11, 1993, one of the 3 Highland Towers condominium blocks in Taman Hillview, Ulu Klang, collapsed in a tragedy that took 48 lives. Zuraida previously said the Highland Towers would be demolished by June 2019 at the latest, but it was delayed due to issues tracking down the building owner and on top of that, the tedious land acquisition process. Coming up next, China hits back at the US with sanctions of its own. US diplomatic passport holders visiting Hong Kong and Macau will no longer enjoy visa-free access. China's government says it will revoke some exemptions that some US officials receive on visas for visiting Hong Kong and Macau. It specifically targets people who hold American diplomatic passports and come after the United States imposed financial sanctions and a travel ban on more than a dozen Chinese officials this week. Beijing says it will also implement reciprocal sanctions against some US officials, members of Congress, and staff at non-governmental organizations and their family members.
鉴于美方利用涉港问题严重干涉
Over what a foreign ministry spokeswoman called wild US behavior on Hong Kong and a dangerous and mistaken path. She declined to give names of those sanctioned or say when the sanctions would start. The United States imposed financial sanctions and a travel ban on 14 Chinese officials this week over their role in adopting a national security law for Hong Kong and over Beijing's disqualification last month of elected opposition legislators in Hong Kong. Outgoing US President Donald Trump is widely seen as seeking to cement his tough-on-China legacy and to box President-elect Joe Biden into taking a similar hardline position. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, the US Treasury also slapped sanctions on Wan Kwok Kui, an organized crime boss for China's 14K triad, and 3 entities owned or controlled by him, as part of broader efforts to stamp out corruption in some Asian and African countries. Widely known as Broken Tooth, Wan had close ties to the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, a largely ceremonial advisory body, according to the Treasury statement, though China's foreign ministry refuted that claim. There will be fewer corporate parties this year over Christmas as big gatherings are banned, but in Spain they found other ways to celebrate. Christmas parties may be all but cancelled this year, but companies in Spain are finding other ways to thank their employees this holiday season. Enter the Christmas gift basket. The businesses behind these parcels say that with the cancelling of Christmas dinners, many budgets are being switched to this instead, reporting better than expected sales. Moises Barrios from Racos Barrios Christmas Basket Company say one thing hasn't changed this year. There is still a favourite gift.
As always, the king of the basket is the ham and Iberian shoulder, depending on the budget. Generally, companies' budgets vary from 60 to 80 euros, depending on the situation. But this budget has been maintained, and because of the cancellation of parties, has even increased.
Containing everything from wine to candy, the holiday baskets are a common way in Spain to thank employees for their work over the past year. With many customers struggling, companies specialized in selling the packages had expected 2020 to be a bust, just like during the 2008 financial crisis. Instead, they've been pleasantly surprised that some industries have actually increased their orders and new clients have appeared. And with the focus in 2020 being very much on health, some companies are cashing in, throwing in a special deal with a private health insurance firm along with the basket. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more next week, same time, same place. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.